The rain began softly. I was sitting in the living room reading a book I had already read twice before when I heard the first drops against the window. Not the heavy drumming of a storm, not the urgent splashing of a downpour, just a gentle tapping like someone knocking politely on glass. I put the book down and listened. The rain grew a little stronger, not much, enough to be heard, enough to fill the room with a soft, steady rhythm that I felt more than heard. The kind of rain that does not demand your attention, the kind of rain that simply exists, patient and kind, asking nothing of you. I got up and walked to the window. Outside, the world was turning silver. The street was wet and gleaming. The trees dripped gently, each leaf holding a tiny pool of water that caught the light before falling to the ground below. The sky was gray and soft, a single shade of cloud from one end to the other, as if someone had drawn a curtain over the world. The rain fell. I watched it for a long time, and then I heard something else. A piano. It was coming from somewhere nearby, not from a house exactly, but from the air itself, as if the rain had brought the music with it, carried it down from the clouds and scattered it across the neighborhood. The notes were simple, a melody I almost recognized but could not quite name. Slow and gentle, with pauses between the phrases, as if the piano was breathing. I stood at the window and listened. The melody was not perfect. Some notes were slightly off, played with the uncertainty of someone who loved the music more than they mastered it. But that imperfection was what made it beautiful. It was honest. It was real. It was someone, somewhere, playing not for an audience, but for themselves. The rain and the piano together made something I had never heard before, a duet between the sky and the earth. The rain provided the rhythm, steady and constant. The piano provided the melody, soft and wandering. Together they created a sound that was more than the sum of its parts, a sound of peace. I left the window and walked to the corner of the room where my own piano sits. It is an old one, bought second-hand from a shop that is no longer there. The wood is dark and scratched. The keys are yellowed, but it still plays, and it still sounds good, especially on nights like this. I sat down on the bench and lifted the lid. The rain played on. I placed my fingers on the keys. They were cool to the touch. I pressed a single note, middle C. It rang out softly, mixing with the rain outside, and for a moment the two sounds were one. I began to play. Not a song I knew, not a piece I had practiced or memorized, just notes that felt right, notes that came from the same place the rain comes from, a place of simplicity, a place of quiet. The melody I played was slow. Each note hung in the air for a moment before the next one came. I let the spaces between the notes be as important as the notes themselves. In those spaces, the rain filled in. The rhythm of the drops against the window became part of the music. The drip from the eaves, the splash of water in the gutter, all of it was music. I played for a while. I do not know how long. Time moves differently when you are playing piano in the rain. Minutes become notes. Notes become measures. Measures become something larger, something that does not have a name. The melody shifted. It became softer, slower, like a lullaby. The kind of lullaby that does not have words, because words would only get in the way. The kind of lullaby that speaks directly to the part of you that needs rest. I played, and the rain fell, and the world grew quiet. The notes became fewer. The pauses between them became longer. The piano and the rain were having a conversation now, taking turns, listening to each other. I would play a note, and the rain would answer. The rain would play a rhythm, and I would follow. We understood each other. At some point, my hands grew tired, not from playing too much, but from the softness of it, from the gentleness. Playing this kind of music is not tiring. It is the opposite. It is releasing. It is letting go of all the tension you have been holding in your hands, your arms, your shoulders, your back. I let my hands rest on the keys. The dampers touched the strings, and the sound stopped. But the feeling of the music continued. It was still there. In the room, in the air, in the rain outside. It would be there for a long time. I closed my eyes. The rain played on. I could hear every drop now. Not just the ones against the window, but the ones on the roof, on the trees, on the pavement outside. Each one a tiny note, each one a tiny part of the music. Together they made a sound that was everywhere and nowhere, surrounding me, holding me, cradling me. I was the piano. I was the rain. I was the music. There was nothing else. The notes I had played were still floating somewhere in the air, mixing with the rain, becoming part of the night. I could feel them settling over me like a blanket, like the softest, warmest blanket I had ever known. My breathing slowed. My thoughts grew quiet. The rain fell. The piano was still. I was still. And in the quiet, in the stillness, in the gentle sound of rain on glass, I found the place I had been looking for all day, the place where rest begins. I let go. I slept,